Welcome to the Friday at 4 podcast series with your host Charles Luttrell and co-host Steve Kent.
Steve, good afternoon. Welcome back to the Friday at 4, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. And yourself?
Oh, fantastic. It's been a good week. Things are rolling.
Good,
Things are good. It's been a good week.
good, good.
Yeah.
That's what we try for, the good weeks.
Yeah. It
So
doesn't always
so
work out, right?
so
Yeah.
so my definition is there's only two options for a week. There's a good week and there's a great week.
I love it.
Those are your options. That's it. It's good or great. That's it.
Love it. That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah. So, guess what?
What?
I've known this guy for about 17 years now.
Hmm.
And for over 22 years, Ken Arment has helped customers at Mazda, such as myself, with both new and pre-owned vehicles. Known for trust and service, he is the one to call. Reach out to Ken, right? 443-987-1614 and mention the Friday at 4 Q.A.C. Team podcast. Reach out to him because I have been Mazda great since 2008, and I know you can too.
So my question for you, where is he located?
In Maryland, Harford County, Maryland. But it doesn't matter because he has delivered cars way up past you, New York,
Hmm,
New Jersey, and taking the trains back. So yes, he
nice.
will. He'll make it happen.
All right. Just for
Yeah.
clarification, just,
Yeah.
to see
That's why I
where
don't mention it too much like that because I know he'll take care of it.
all right, that
Yeah.
works. That works.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah. Great
stuff.
guy. Great service. Like I said, I've been Mazda great since 2008. Love my cars, love my Mazda, and love my dealer, Ken Armet. Check him out.
Nice. See, I didn't know about him because I got a Mazda a couple of months ago. I should have talked to you and said, "Hey, I'm looking for a Mazda," and you could have introduced me. So, all right, lesson
Absolutely.
learned for next time. So, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think we really talked about that. I think you just went ahead and said that you had actually bought a new car and I didn't know it was a Mazda.
Yeah, I got mine last December,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, we were still new with
finally,
this.
yeah,
Yeah.
I finally broke down and got rid of my 14-year-old car. Seriously. But you know what? It was a good car. Um, Great gas mileage, but at some point you start putting more money into it than it's
Yeah.
worth. And at that point, you got to say, you know what, it's time.
Yeah.
So I
1000%.
gave it up. I cried. I gave it up, but I was good.
You went out kicking and screaming with that baby, didn't you?
I did. I did. It was like, no, don't leave me.
Don't leave me. I love it. Oh man. So we had a little conversation through text this morning, and I think I like this topic today. And go ahead and kick us off with this. I like this. This is good.
Yeah. So let me put a generic statement out there. And let's be nice and say that the economy could be better. Let's be nice and say the economy could be better. And we
Very
all know
nice about it.
because many of us are struggling. You know, who got laid off, who's worried about their job, um, who's looking for a job, and there are no jobs out there.
Yeah.
Um, so there's all kinds of stuff going on. But the topic that I want to kind of narrow it down a little bit, and again, we did talk about this. Um, how do you plan for the time where you may not have that income coming in, but you still have the expenses? You still have to pay a rent or a mortgage. You may still have to pay, well, you still have to pay utilities. Depending on what you're doing, you may have to still pay a car payment, gas, maintenance on the car. You gotta buy food. Can't forget about the food. And yes, you can reduce certain expenses, but you still have that core that has to be paid. And yes, you can always argue, and there's a lot of people that are doing this, unfortunately, is to live on your credit cards. So, little diversion here. When you do live on credit cards, and some people have no choice, at some point, you're going to have to make monthly payments, even if it's the minimum payment. But at some point, your balance runs dry. Now you can't charge anymore. And then what do you do? So let me bring it back. So charge cards are a short-term option, but it's not something you want to rely on long term. So we're going to kind of go two different ways here. One is going to be the business side, and one's going to be the personal side. So for no reason, let's just start with the personal side. So the question becomes, how much do you save? And as a general rule of thumb, it's typically 3 to 6 months. But in this economy, my suggestion, if possible, is to go closer to 12 months.
I was going to say a year. Yeah.
Right. Now,
Yep.
within that 12, let's call it 12 months because we both kind of have the same mindset with that. What do you save for?
Mhm.
So again, we kind of talked a little bit. You got the rent, you got anything. So the rent or mortgage, utilities. If you're in a house, there's taxes, which may or may not be part of the mortgage, depending on where you live. You're going to have food, clothing, medical expenses. There are certain things that you cannot avoid. But looking at that list and others, you really got to sit down. And I don't mean you, I'm talking generic statement. You really have to sit down and figure out what is a must have and what's a nice to have. And sometimes it's really hard because there's a blurry line in there between I must eat, but with the must eat, it's nice to have steak. Can you deal with a hamburger?
Why does it have steak? But can you have steakums?
There you go.
Right.
I've never had steakums, but I've heard some mixed reviews about them. Okay. Um,
Fixed reviews.
I've heard some mixed reviews, but we won't go there. Okay. Um, so when it comes to eating, do you have to eat out or can you eat home? And eating home could end up, even though we know food's expensive, eating home could be a much, much less costly expense than eating out.
Yeah.
So consider eating home and making your dinner as opposed to going out and buying it or ordering it from a fast food. Consider eating home. It can significantly reduce your food expense. Um, I mean, I've talked before.
Especially restaurants, right? Because if you're doing fast food, it's a great way to save, but your health will be at risk, right? I'm part of that right now myself, you know, in what I'm going through. But when you look at the restaurant side, eating out in these fancy places, you're looking at, I'm not joking, at least 30 to $40 per person. So if you break that down, you can get groceries for a week around 50, $60 if you're eating frugal, because I'm doing it. It's costing me about $54. I spent $47 today for a week's full of groceries. So it can be done, you know. So I wanted to let people know who are watching that I am part of that. I don't like to spend money on food because I like to spend it on my business. And you can eat frugal. You can do it.
Can,
It's a good
can.
point.
I know every week, and I rent, but my front step, there is the circular that they put together and they send out for the supermarkets. And I go through them. I'm not ashamed to say I go through them and I look for the sales. Um, I can't eat as inexpensively as you because again, I'm in New York and prices here are, I'm sure, significantly higher than where you are. But
Significantly. Yeah.
significantly. But the concept is the same. Can you look for the sales? I'm not saying eat unhealthy because that's going to hurt you long term.
Yeah.
But again, do you need steak? Can you have hamburger? You know, um, there's a certain brand of vegetable that we eat. Yes, it's frozen vegetables, and okay, you could argue that's not the healthiest either, but not on sale. that's $2.49 for a small box. And we look for them on sale, and it doesn't happen that often, but when they do, we stock up, and you can get them for $1 for the same thing. So from 2.50 to $1 is a big savings, and you buy 10, 15, 20 at a time, it's a big savings. So I do the same thing you do.
You're stocked up for the future in case something
Sure.
happens like we're discussing now. Your fridge is ready for you. So when you have this issue, you're safe. You've got food, you
Correct,
know?
correct.
Yeah, yeah.
It's so that's food. We beat that to death.
We
Um,
did.
again, you got to pay rent and stuff. But like, again, I rent an apartment. So I'm in a two-family house and I have the first floor and the basement. Um, but what we do is we walk around, and when I'm not in the basement, the lights go off. When I'm up and we're in the living room watching TV, the bedroom lights go off. It may not sound like a lot, but over the course of a month, and we tried this, so that's why I know, again, where I am in New York, I can't speak for the whole country, but our electric and gas bill, where we left all the lights on and then turned them off if we're not in the room in the basement, it was like an $80 a month less by just turning off lights when you're not in the room. One of the things that I saw the other day, and I've seen it before, but I guess it just sunk in the other day. One of the biggest wastes of electric that cost money, unplug your microwave. If you're not using your computer, unplug the modem and the router. And when you're ready, just plug them back in. They'll boot back up in 2, 3 minutes, and then you're fine. But all those little things, they add up. Your alarm clock, all the things that are running all the time that you don't use all the time, unplug them. And you'd be surprised how much money you can save. So when you're in a crunch, it's little things that people don't necessarily think about because they're never told about it. But look around. What electric is on that you don't need to be on? So again,
I
it's another
unplug
thing.
everything, lights, everything. There's nothing plugged in.
Yeah.
Microwave's never plugged anymore. Toaster oven, nothing, and it works.
Yeah. I mean, again, where I am in New York, again, where I am, if I walked, I think it's a mile that way is like a Dollar Tree and a Key Food. If I go a mile and a half that way, I get to a Stop and Shop. So depending on what I'm buying, I'll even for also for the exercise, but I'll walk to the supermarkets. Again, depending on what you're buying, you're not going to walk that far with frozen food, but if you're buying something that's not
Bags
going
of
to
groceries,
spoil, I
right?
walk. Part of it's
Yeah,
exercise, part of it's saving the gas. So, little things start to add up over a month, 2 months, 3 months.
they
So,
really do.
that's kind of how I'm doing, and what you're doing is to try to minimize those expenses. Um, when we go for clothes, I'll look for sales. I'll walk into an Old Navy or some other store, and I'll look at the sale rack,
Yeah,
you know. And again, I'm not going to buy things that don't fit. That doesn't make sense, or something that's 10 years old. But if I need to replace a shirt or a pair of pants and I can find something decent on a sale rack, I'm going to take it off the sale rack.
you
And
have
I'm not
Kohl's where
ashamed.
you live.
I'm sorry.
You have Kohl's where you live.
We do have a Kohl's. Now that Kohl's is I got to drive because that's far. That's a decent
Yeah,
distance.
yeah.
But
We've
Kohl's is
gotten really
good.
good deals recently for myself and my daughter recently with clothes. It's amazing.
There's
Yeah, it's a good
Kohl's.
place.
Oh, there's a store called H&M,
Hmm.
which is
Yep.
is has again, you got to catch it right, but you can get some good stuff in there. And I forget, there's a couple of others that are all along those same lines that if you can catch it right, you can get some pretty good stuff. My daughter went out the other day. She went into an Old Navy and she picked out a pair of jeans because for work she needed another pair of a certain color. And she picked one off the rack, $30. Okay, so she could deal with the $30. She goes up to the register. There was an unadvertised markdown on that pair of jeans. $6,
That's awesome.
30. Now she didn't know it, But again, if you catch some of these stores the right way, you can really reduce your prices. So if you don't need something right away,
Yeah.
go out, price something. If you don't like it, come back a week later, 2 weeks later, a month later. And you never know if you hit it right. And you then can replace an article of clothing, a pair of shoes, sneakers, whatever you're doing.
Yep.
Yeah, you know,
Yep.
I mean,
And I do know when times are hard, as we found out with COVID, some of the bills that may seem necessary, like your credit cards and things like that, if you reach out to them and call them and talk to them, they can help you out until things get better. I've been there. I mean, I think we've
yep,
all been there.
yep.
It's where you got to reach out and say, look, I'm not working right now. Things are happening. Can you help me out? Yeah, we'll do this and we'll do that.
So let me tell you, based on credit cards, I just helped two different people. Of course, we will not give names out, but two different people who both had issues with credit cards. And I talked to them obviously separately, but the common theme was a high balance with a high interest rate. And they were having a problem making their monthly payments. And the monthly payment was all interest. So you never pay down the balance. So I gave them a couple of ideas. They both separately called up their credit card companies and they said, look, I want to pay you, but I'm having a problem. Can you help me? And the credit cards both significantly reduced the interest rate. So now making the same payment,
Mhm.
most of that payment is now principal, not interest.
Yeah.
So you're going to bring down the balance faster. And when you bring it down faster, your credit score goes up.
Yep.
So if you do need more something, now you have a better credit rating and you're in good shape.
I
Um,
had one about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I think I may have told you about this, where I saw this really good credit card. It was a really high balance for me
mhm,
with a really decent um, percentage rate on it.
mhm,
So I went online, did the whole thing. I got approved. They sent me an email with a PDF file of all the hidden
mhm.
garbage. And when I read it, guess what I found? There was a $95 a year service fee that they did not disclose.
Okay,
So the process is going where they're going to send me this credit card. All you got to do is activate it. I called them and said, I am not activating this card. You're going to cancel my account
right,
because I am not paying your $95 a year service
mhm,
fee. There's tons of credit cards out here that do not charge
right,
a yearly fee.
right.
So they canceled it. I got everything went through and they canceled it. But they're still sending me emails. We want you back. We want you back. We want you back. Of
Well,
course you
then,
do.
then take off the $95, then I'll come back.
And you would have me, right? But I ain't
Yeah,
even responding because I'm gonna
yeah,
wait. There'll be another one. I'm not worried about it.
right, right. Well, here's the thing that has been out there, but a lot of people just ignore it for whatever reason. Major credit card companies, banks, they are writing off billions of dollars in unpaid credit card bills or balances.
Yeah.
So if you go back to a company and say, I want to pay you, but help me, you'll probably get a better response because
Yeah.
they don't want to keep writing off that money. They would rather take less than write it off. So,
Yeah.
little hint, if you do, if everybody out there, if you have balances, call up and say, hey, I want to pay it. I'm having a problem. How can you help me?
Yeah. So we covered food, we covered rent, we covered credit cards. What's next in line with this when we're talking about this emergency fund?
Um, Food,
What do
rent,
you, well,
clothing.
I guess I would say, what do you suggest? Because I'm just curious. I know we're looking at a year, and it's different for everybody because I don't know what your
Hmm,
monthly bills are.
right.
But what would you recommend? Like try to put back 10%, 15%, 5% a week, a month, so you get something behind. What's the average you would tell somebody how much to put back so they are ready if in case something does happen.
I don't know, because again, like you said, everybody's different. Every situation
Yeah.
is different. But what I would say to, as a general rule, be frugal, pay your bills first, and then put money away.
And I hate to beat the food topic again, but this is a perfect example.
Uh,
I sat here today and thought, all right, so I'm spending X amount of money per week in fast food. I can stop that. If I bought X food this week, instead
mhm,
of spending X money in 5 days, I got this food for 7 days. Now
right,
I just got to be disciplined to not go and get fast food.
right,
So I saved
correct,
myself about 30 or
correct,
40 to $50
correct,
by just doing that.
correct.
So that's a way to save some money for myself.
So depending on your situation, and again, I mean, I'm talking generic, depending
Sure.
on your situation, try putting 50 a week. If you can do that, stretch and try to do 75, then try to do 100. The key of that is the mindset. It's the
Right.
repetition of, I know I have to put money away. Now, we're not saying that you have to be a hermit, that you can't go out, you can't have a good time. You can
Right.
pay your bills first, put money away second, and then what's left, go have a good time. But
Yeah.
don't exceed that left portion. So if you have 50 bucks left and you want to spend the 50. Don't
Yeah.
spend 60. And you
Yeah.
also have to be disciplined to say, if I'm putting money into an emergency fund, it's called an emergency fund. It's not a
Set
fund like,
emergency
oops, I
for a
went
reason.
out to drink last night and I overspent and I got to take money out of my emergency fund. It's not meant for that. It's meant for
Right.
emergency. So you got
Right.
to get that mindset going. So
Yeah.
that's
I think that's key, right? That's key is you really got to get this mind right where it needs to be to know that try to discipline yourself to make these things happen, right? Because
mhm,
if you don't really, like today, right, I really had to work my brain to say, look, do this and you'll change how much you're spending. And it was a no-brainer for me. It was easy. But for some people, it's not, right? Because they don't know what they have. They don't know what their bills are. They're living paycheck to paycheck. They're just doing what they can.
yeah,
And it really helps to sit down and really focus on what you're putting out, right? How much you're spending and
right,
how much you're making to really see what you can save, right? That's important,
yeah.
you know.
I mean, the example, and I know we've talked about this before, and I don't mean to pick on Starbucks. I really don't, but I'm going to use them as an example. If you're going out to Starbucks and buying three super gigantic lattes or whatever they call those things, because obviously I don't go to Starbucks.
Right.
But if you're buying three of those a day, scale back to two. And the money from that third one, which could be six, seven, eight, $9 a day, put that away. At $8 a day, you just put away $240 a month.
Well, remember, these drinks you're buying at Starbucks are between $6 and $7 each. So
Right.
you're spending about $20 a day just on
Mhm.
drinks from Starbucks. So
Right.
think about that, right?
Right. So I'm saying, so if you
That's
stop
that's
one,
$100 a week. Yeah,
yeah,
it's oof.
stop one
Yeah,
even at $6 a day times
yeah,
30 days is $180 a month. That's now just from that.
yeah,
So if you add to that, not eating out, instead of eating out 7 days a week, eat out 3 days a week.
yeah,
And the other four, the difference of eating out versus buying and making, the difference, put that away. By
yeah.
the time you get done, you're going to find you're saving three, four, $500 a month. That will add up a lot quicker towards a year's worth of living expenses.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I hate to beat on food because I think food is probably one of the biggest things that we as humans are challenged with because I'm challenged with it myself. I'm on the road all the time.
Hmm.
I have to eat
Right.
these places. I don't have a choice,
Right.
you know? So the goal for me is, to get sponsored, to get paid to eat these things so it makes
Right.
it a little bit easier for me. But, that is a huge expense.
Yeah.
So for my emergency fund is probably wiped out right about now because,
Mm.
it's not there,
Right.
and we're building it back up and we're working on it. So
It it is a work in process for everybody out there. You're not going to put away a year's worth of expenses in a day, a week, a month. It may take you a year. It may take you 2 years to put away a year's worth. But the key is start somewhere and be consistent. That's really the key.
yeah,
Now to jump real quick because I don't know how much time we got left, but to jump really
yeah,
quick.
we have about 12 minutes. So
Okay.
and we
So
went on this
let's
personal one for a little bit while. So let's jump on that business side. Sorry
yeah,
about
let's
that.
jump quick over to the business side. In a business, again, you have the rent, um, you have the utilities, but again, what's running during the day, what's running at night that you can unplug to reduce the electric bill. Um, if you have inventory, do you need 6 months of inventory on in stock? Can you do with a month's worth of inventory so you save the cash?
Yeah,
Um, do really take a good look at your business. Do you offer 19 versions of, you know, of a phone, or can you do with 5 versions of a phone, which means you need less inventory, less stock? So really take a look at your business model and figure out everything you're offering to customers. How much sales do I get from each of the items? And if you have a couple of items that are really not selling well, it may be time to discontinue a couple of items. And again, I'm talking generic, but different things for business to look at.
sure,
Um,
sure.
employees, fine. Um, if an employee is hourly, can you make sure there's no overtime? Things like that to keep, when people are salaried, it's kind of understood they're going to work a little overtime because they're salaried. That's kind of why people put them on salary. Quite honestly, I went to that many years ago. Okay. Um, but,
Been there, done that.
yeah, but can you minimize or eliminate overtime? Um, can you shop around for possibly less expensive healthcare plans for your employees? Um, from the whatever expenses, when I started to work, when was this? This had to be early 2000s. I went to work for a company, and when I got there, every day they had breakfast for the whole staff. That had to be 100, 200 people, whatever it was. Within a couple of months, breakfast was gone.
Yeah,
They were looking to cut back, and it cost them whatever it cost them 5 days a week, 52 weeks a year. They were providing breakfast for a couple hundred people. And they finally realized that's a very expensive proposition. And they
yeah.
cut it out. So are
I
there,
know, not to cut you off, but I know one, when I worked in the for a business, they used to have trainers in-house that they had hired. They started
Mhm.
outsourcing training. That's all. That was a huge
Yeah,
difference. And that
right.
was a big savings. But then we're getting into the whole part of, was the training worth it? How good was it? But
Mm,
they that was a way to save, was
right,
outsource your training.
right, right. There's in the IT space, there's a model called break fix. Break fix means you have a staff on site for the IT world. And when your computer breaks, somebody comes in and fixes it. But their job is based on your computer breaking over and over and over. So
Right.
what companies started to do was they were outsourcing. And I'm not suggesting people get fired for this, but it's a way to possibly keep the same staff, but have uniform PCs, uniform software. So it's easier to maintain, easier to fix. And when you have uniform PCs and software, you can then get quantity discounts from the supplier. Your Dells, your IBMs, your Lenovo's, whoever you're buying the stuff from, Microsoft, you buy in bulk and you can get a cheaper rate, and then it's deployed the same way across to everybody. Cheaper to get, cheaper to maintain. So things like that, without even reducing staff, which I'm all in favor of not reducing staff. Um,
I think we've talked about that in a short stint too, about, you know, nobody has enough staff on hand anymore. That can't even be a thing because you've got to have people to run your business. And it
correct.
boggles my mind how you have one person running a fast food place, but whatever.
Yeah, I don't get
I
it either. I don't
don't
get
get
it
it
either.
either, but yeah,
I don't. I don't. Um,
right.
why do you think a long time ago, gas stations, most gas stations, at least
Yeah,
where I am, you pump your own gas? Used to be somebody would go out, they would pump your gas, they would clean your window, they would do whatever they would do. You're paying for those,
yeah,
and it's coming out of the profit per gallon for the gas station.
yeah.
But when they realized their profit per gallon could go up, they don't need the people anymore. So now you got somebody inside taking the money, putting it into the computer. Oh, pump for $20. They do their thing. You go out and pump your own gas. It's the
That
way.
went away when I was a kid. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I remember pumping your gas, cleaning your windshield, checking your oil,
Yep.
taking
Yep.
your cash, giving you change. But that has been gone for quite some time.
Yeah. But it's
Yeah,
the same logic. They're looking
yeah,
to reduce expenses. Now, what they do with the reduced expenses, that's up to them. I'm not getting into that whole piece of it.
yeah.
But
Right.
from a business perspective, again, it's utilities, it's inventory, um, it's
The big items.
overtime.
Yeah,
There's a lot
yeah,
of things you can do. Is there a way to renegotiate a rent down?
right.
If the landlord won't reduce your rent, are you willing to call the landlord out and say, hey, either you reduce or I'm moving?
Yeah,
Now you got to
relocation.
be
Yeah,
willing to move if they say no. But if you're willing to do that to another floor, another building, another something, yeah, there's some hassle that goes with that to notify all your
sure.
customers and providers. But if you can reduce your rent by 20, 30%, because there is so much open commercial property that if you can negotiate, it may be worth it to move to the next
Right.
block, to the next building. So
Yeah.
think about that too.
Yep. Absolutely. A lot of good points. I mean, if when you look at it from both sides, they kind of go together.
Mm,
You have the same things on the personal side, the same things on the business side.
right, right.
They kind of go together, but I think obviously it's harder for a business because they have so much more overhead, so much more
Hmm.
at stake than you do personally, because you can personally just call up anybody. Hey, I need some help. I don't have a job right now. And they're like, yeah, sure, we got you. Business, you go, hey, I ain't making no money this month. They're gonna be like, well, you better figure it out or you're gonna be on the street. We're gonna shut you down. So
Right.
that's kind of different, but it's a more serious concern when it comes to a business, right, than it is with personal.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
It is more, but there's more opportunity. Go to your suppliers. You know,
yeah,
I'm in a pinch. Can you knock 5%, 10% off my bill?
right.
So there are different things you can do. Do you need a dollar part, or can the same part from a different supplier for
Supplier.
80 cents or 70 cents? And if you're running through large volumes of things, significant savings. Now, again, you
Yeah,
can't sacrifice quality, especially if there's, people's lives at stake and stuff. But, so you
I
got to
was
think of
about to
that too.
say that.
But if you can get away with something and make a substitution and nobody gets hurt,
Yeah,
think about it.
yeah, absolutely. Right.
Yeah.
516-727-2294. Reach out to Steve. He's got a lot of information on this. He can help you out on how to find the right credit cards, show you how to get that bounce down. Steve can even show you how to make that emergency fund help, right?
Yep, yep, can do.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah,
talk to Chuck at 410-935-6132. If you want him to come in, take a look at your establishment, potentially find ways to become a little bit better, increase the sales, reduce expenses, he'll help you with all that stuff too. So yeah.
I think that's what's good about how you and I work here is that
Mhm.
you can talk about all the numbers and the details, and I can come in on the broader side and say, look, this is what I discovered. Let me show you how you can possibly save yourself $5,000 a year. And I can show you that by my business review snapshot. It's free. Go to my website, QACteam.com, and fill out the form, and I'll do a free analysis for you on your business. It's free, and it's really good.
To not use that service is a disservice, if that makes sense. Because,
That's true.
Chuck's offering it free. It gives
Yeah.
you a snapshot you probably didn't know about before, and it may spur you into doing little things that could increase your revenue by a decent amount
Yeah.
that you may not have thought about before. So give Chuck a holler, look at his website, and see what he can do for you.
True. So true. Yeah.
Yep.
Steve, another great episode. What a great conversation. I know we didn't get to go as deep as we wanted to. We kind of went off tangent a little bit on the personal side, but
Okay.
I think it needed to be done, right? Because
Yeah.
people watching this are really need to hear that, to know that reach out to us for help, because
Yeah.
we can help,
Yes.
we can help. You're very good at what you do. You're very good at understanding these numbers, the analytics of how to get that emergency fund set up, where the money can come from,
Yeah.
and I appreciate you, with all your knowledge that you're giving on this podcast. It's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. It's
You know?
again, it comes from the standpoint of that we both want to help.
Yeah,
That's it.
absolutely. Yeah, we're here to help.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, good
Steve,
stuff.
thanks again for coming on
No, appreciate it.
Friday
Thank you,
for
Chuck.
podcast, because
It's 4:00 somewhere.
I love it. Have a great rest of your
You
Friday.
too.
It's been a great week. Hope you all have a great weekend. And Steve, we'll talk soon, buddy.
You got it. Thanks, Chuck. Take
Okay.
care.
Take
Take care,
care, buddy.
everyone. Have a good weekend.
See you, buddy.
Bye-bye.
You've been watching the Friday at 4 podcast series with your host Charles Luttrell and co-host Steve Kent. Thanks for watching.